This is chapter 48 of World's Longest Suicide Note. My name is Roger. And while it's true that I may be suicidal at times, I'm not a mental health provider of any kind. All right? So, and it's funny, not really funny, haha. This is, like I said, the 48th time I've done this. And so it's been a while, and I just got notification from YouTube that some of my content has been taken down because it deals with suicide or self-harm. And I mean, that's kind of the whole idea of this, is that we're talking about something that nobody wants to talk about, and apparently nobody wants to see. So that's a little bit frustrating for me, because that's the whole idea, is to have a conversation that nobody really wants to have. So I'm just going to keep trucking along until they pull the plug, literally or figuratively or both. So let's talk. Let's do some chatting, shall we? Yeah. All right. Well, for today's topic, we will not be talking about them taking down content. Let's just give them more content to consider, right? That's what we're going to do. All right. So one of the things in my chats with others, in my peer kind of support that I do, I want to, we talked about some of the things that I've run across that are challenging to many people, and we talked about purpose in the last one, and how important having purpose can be to your life. And so I want to kind of talk about something else that I've come across that people just aren't really doing with any great regularity, and it's causing issues. And that's the idea of forgiving yourself. Whoa, we're getting super deep, super quick now. Yeah, we're gonna cover some territory today. So let's just kind of get at it. Forgiving yourself. And I'm not the best one to talk. I mean, I could talk about it. I have experience, but I also am not great at forgiving myself for things. I like to hold on to things that I've done wrong, and I like to do that because it proves to myself that I'm not a good person. I don't have to work on being better. I don't have to work on being something that I'm not, because I'm a bad person. And the fact that I did something wrong proves that I am not a good person. And so we pretty much just go through and expect that of ourselves. So that is definitely something that I need to continually do myself, because it impacts how we feel about ourselves. It impacts our ability to want and need to get help, and just the overall feelings of worthlessness. The more we can hang on to the negative stuff, I think the more comfortable we are, because we're not comfortable if we're comfortable being the villain of our own story. And sometimes when we're not the villain of our own story, then it feels different. We don't quite know how to deal with that situation. So yeah, forgiving ourselves. But the important thing is, it's something that we need to do as we go through our life, because it holds us back, and it keeps us from really feeling that we need, that self-worth, that feeling of that confidence in who we are, and what we're doing. So yeah, it's not a skill that we have developed. I'll just say that much about it, because we just don't really want to. So let's break it down a little bit, because it's important to know how to change that narrative, if and when we need to, and we need to. So let's chat about that. Now, this is not my information. This is what I've learned through other avenues, doing some reading, and just kind of poking around into books with pictures and such. So I know this much, and I'm going to share it with you, and then we'll talk about it as we go. I don't know why I'm making a big deal of it. I think it's because I don't know what I'm going to say next, and so I'm stalling with the hopes that you won't understand that I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I have an idea, because I have had to go through this process of forgiving myself for most things. There's some things, and I'll tell you at the end what that is. But anyway, so the first stage in forgiving yourself is taking responsibility for what happened, whatever it is. What do you feel bad about? What have you done? And as people that lived with mental illness, we've burned bridges. And it may not have been something that we really meant to do, but at the end of the day, we've done that. We have burned bridges with our family and friends, and with community organizations, with a lot of different things. We've burned some bridges, and so we could either, and some people choose to not forgive us for those things, and this conversation isn't about other people's forgiveness. That's something that's on them, not on you. I mean, you could ask for forgiveness, and they may give it to you, or they may not. But what's important is that you forgive yourself for those things. And I get it. That's way easier said than done. But at the same time, it's never going to happen if we don't make it happen. So we need to find a way to forgive ourselves for as we, and really the best thing we could do is forgive ourselves as it's happening, as something happens on a daily basis. forgiving yourself as you go through, that's important. Because if we don't, then those things build up, and before we know it, we're in a super bad place where we don't really know what to do, and our thoughts and feelings are out of control, and we've allowed ourselves to spiral. We don't want to do that. So the first thing we have to do, there's four, and I remember this, there's four R's, four R's, or some people just say there's four R's in the process of self-forgiveness. The first one is responsibility. Responsibility. You got to take responsibility for what's happening. You got to own it. And that means no excuses. We can't use our mental illness as an excuse. All right? So no excuses at all. So you take responsibility. That's a big one. That's the first one. The next one is, now let me think about it. Responsibility. Oh, the remorse. You feel remorse for what has happened. It's something that bothers you, and you want to make it right. You feel remorse for what has happened. That's another big RRE. Okay. If you don't feel remorse, well then there's really nothing to be sorry about. So if you just feel like, well, should I feel? If you don't feel sorry about it, then there's really no need to go down that road. Okay, this is for the things that we feel sorry about, which for a lot of us is a bit. It's stuff, you know. The second thing, or the third RE. So we have take responsibility, be remorseful. We need to restoration. We need to do things to get to a place where we feel like we have offered to build the bridges that we burn. And sometimes that's kind of, it feels like we're going through life and we're burning bridges. We're either burning them or we're repairing them. And it's hard because we don't want to be that way, but it's we run afoul of the traditional way of living, because we don't really get we're going through stuff. Okay, so we have responsibility, remorse, restoration. We need to make it up to whoever it is that we have wronged. Sometimes that's us more than anything. So understanding that is important. So don't forget that you have also wronged yourself, and you need to restore that to yourself. And the last one is renewal. And that's really the forgiving part. So if you've done something that made you regret, it's important that you go through a process whereby at the end of it you feel like you have renewed that relationship with the person who you have wronged. and then you could feel better. Then at the end of that, you forgive yourself. The renewal is when you've done what you can, and that's been said and done, and then you could sit back and you could feel like you've accomplished something because you went through that process. So you just not forgiving yourself, you have to go through a process. And it doesn't have to be that process. That one's nice because it's like symmetrical. And, who doesn't like that? It's kind of neat and clean because, you get to, at the end of it, you've processed it and then you get to move on. So, but there's other ways, I'm sure, to do it. There's always, more than one way to skin a cat, and I'm just gonna, every time I say that, I don't understand why we would be skinning cats in the first place. I don't think there's ever been a time in history where like people were wearing cat skin hats or cat furred Uggs, those kind of things. So I don't know why you'd skin a cat, and why would there need to be more than one way? Again, I don't know. I'm at a loss. So, but the whole idea is to find a way, because when you're carrying around that guilt of something that you did to somebody, that's energy. That is energy that you are taking from your day. That is chi, that your essence of chi that is being ineffective because it's being clogged up by a bunch of guilt that you feel. And we feel guilt for many reasons. I'm not saying that don't ever feel guilty, or like those people say, oh, if you say sorry, that's a sign of weakness, so never apologize. It's like, no, that's silly. There's many times where you absolutely should apologize. If you cut someone off, you should say you're sorry, because that's just what we should do in society, is own our problems and make it right to the best of our ability. So if you're carrying stuff, if you're carrying guilt that you shouldn't be, please try to change that to what, and seek help from other people who know far more than me. That's always an answer, is to seek help from somebody who knows more than you do. And then keep moving forward. Get rid of that. And that's something that's weight that you don't have to carry. That's like going on a hike and taking out, rocks from your, you don't need to carry rocks from one side to the other. So anyway, that's basically it today. And hopefully you'll see this at some point. I don't think I went a little too overboard on the whole self-harm thing. Trying to keep people from doing self-harm. And that means you. So keep working hard, take care of that guilt, and keep fighting. And we'll see you on the next one. All right, take care.